Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are taking our very first look at the brand new Tier 8 Japanese destroyer, the other half of the free campaign that is currently ongoing, the Minegumo. So without further ado, let's look at our commander. Now, I chose to build this as a torp boat slash super sneaky ninja strat. Okay, you can kind of build this as a torp boat or a gunboat, depending on what you think is going to be best for the moment or whatever fits your playstyle. But what I will caution you is that it's not particularly good at either of those things. But one other thing I want to say is it's just a Hayate, guys. Like, if you've played the Hayate, you know what you're getting. It's a Hayate with a stretched out ship. Like, it seems like it's slightly bigger than the Hayate. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just haven't played the Hayate enough. But it just feels like a Hayate. It's tier 8, same thing. But we're running Raizo Tanaka. We've got Eric Bay, Jersey Swirsky as our inspirations. We've got the Subsurface Venture, Fragile Threat, Perceptive, Destroyer Be Destroyed, and of course we've got Unstoppable as our commander perks. Now, again, I know that I went with the super squishy torp build and super sneaky ninja strats, but if you want to go for the gunboat side of things, I mean, in fairness, you can get another like 1.5 seconds off of your gun reloads. But I don't know. I don't feel like this is the best gunboat in the world, and it's not the best torp boat in the world. It's not a bad torp boat, but I don't think it'd be the best gunboat just because you don't really have that much of a base HP to start with. I think it's 16,000 base, which is pretty normal for Japanese destroyers. So even if you do buff that, you get it up to what, 21? You're still going to end up getting completely raffle stomped by other gunboats, which you're going to run into a lot of, especially now that the Fox Flare catastrophe is over. I think more people are going to be out there in other ships other than just Split and all that. But either direction, let's go ahead and look at the rest of it. We got aiming systems mod 1. We've got propulsion mod on here. We've got steering or concealment system mod, and then we've got our torp launchers mod 3. Now, I haven't had any trouble getting the torps knocked out on this thing, even though I've been running this, but it definitely seems like the better option is to put the torps or get the torps back in this thing. Okay. At least in my playstyle, anyway. You do have 6 quick smokes. They're not particularly amazing, but they are kind of a good get-out-of-jail-free card. So if you get into trouble, you turn away and drop smoke. You can disappear. You also have 2 reload boosters, which is nice, though they take forever to come back. Once you use the first one, it takes over 3 minutes, right? 360. That would be what? 4 minutes? Over 4 minutes? Yeah. So yeah, it takes a while. Anyway, we are running the Italian Unity flag and the camo that comes with the ship. For specs, 15,660 hit points with this build. Again, it's a fragile build. I get that. But using it for super sneaky ninja strats seems to be my best way of playing the ship so far. 127mm third year type main guns. You get 6 of those. They are 5-inch guns. But I believe they said in the trailer for this that it gets improved penetration or something with those guns. They do seem to hit pretty well, and again, the reload time is not terrible. So if you wanted to buff that reload time, you could shave off a good second off of it, probably. Get it down to 3.5 to 3 seconds, somewhere in that neighborhood, making it a pretty formidable little gunboat. But again, the problem is it just doesn't have the hit points, and even if you do buff the hit points, then you're giving up all your concealment, which I think is one of the biggest strengths of this ship, is how sneaky it can be. Just like the Hayate, you can get this thing down to a 4.9 kilometer concealment, which means other than French cruisers or French destroyers running the go all out skill, you're going to outspot everything. Okay, the French destroyers that run go all out, and there might be a little bit of foreshadowing there, will outspot you, because I think they get down to like 4.5 or 4.7 or something like that when they're running go all out. Maybe it's even lower than that. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much just sail around and hurt people. Capture bases, spot for your team, basic stuff, right? But anyway, maximum HE shell damage, 2,000 with a 9% chance to set fires. 9% chance to set fires on 5-inch guns seems pretty high. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that seems pretty high for 5-inch guns. But AP shell maximum damage, 2,400. Torpedoes, you get 610mm quadruple torp tubes. You get total of two launchers, which is 4 tubes. The interesting thing about these is you can launch them in either a super widespread, which is obnoxious, or you can launch them tube by tube, which is usually reserved for the British. Yeah, personally, the tube by tube seems to be the better option more often than not, because the super widespread is just so bad for a 4 launcher. You just have gigantic gaps in between torpedoes, and that's not what you want. But either way, maximum damage on these is absurd, 21,963. It's everything you know and love about Japanese torpedoes. They hit like a Mack truck. Okay, but the trade-off is these are the Screamer torps. They are slightly longer range Screamer torps, but they are Screamer torps. They're 79 knot top speed with a 9-kilometer range. Used to only get 8 kilometers on Screamer torps back in the day. But yeah, apparently these are 9 kilometers and they're the 80 knot torpedoes. So that is pretty nice. That means that these things can somewhat reach out and touch people. And with the sneakiness of the ship, you can catch people off guard. And then, of course, you got the fact that you can launch them tube by tube. And that comes in real handy as well. A defense, you have none. Don't even think about it. Like, this thing will never shoot down. If you shoot down a fucking plane with this ship, I'm filing a lawsuit. You're cheating. That's how bad the AA is on this. The reason being is I've been harassed by 2 carriers in 2 different matches for the entire length of the game. I have not shot down a single player or a single plane for the entire duration of 2 different games where I've been hovered over for the entire match. Haven't shot down a single plane. If you shoot down a plane with this, go buy a lottery ticket, is all I'm saying. Firing range 3.1 kilometers. Yeah, it's awful. 10 damage per second, and that might be overstating. Okay, you have better luck if everybody on your deck was throwing mashed potatoes at the planes as they go over. I'm telling you. Take everybody out of the mess hall, bring them up, or the galley. I guess it'd be the galley since it's a ship. But bring them out of the galley, put them on the deck with their scoop of the mashed potatoes, and just sit there and fling mashed potatoes at them as they drive by. Once in a blue moon, you might be able to hit the intake or something like that and just cause the plane to crash. That is more effective AA than this thing has. 37.1 knots of top speed. Again, not very fast either. You do get an engine boost that helps with that a little bit, but it's not particularly fast, meaning that you are kind of lunch for anything that's fast enough to run you down. AKA the Russians and the French. They like to hunt you down. Turning circle is not bad, 640 meters. And the rudder shift is pretty standard, 3.6. You can get that faster if you want, but you give up concealment to do it, and I don't really want to do that. And you don't want to give up propulsion mod in this thing either if you're going to be using those get out of jail free smokes, or if you're stopping to capture bases and stuff. Getting up and moving quickly is essential. Detectability by sea is 4.9. That's what I was telling you guys about. This thing is very, very sneaky. It is right there with the Hayate for the best concealment at the tier. Now, again, the caveat to that is the French destroyers that run go all out as a skill, because while their engine boost is active, they are incredibly sneaky, and they will absolutely catch you off guard. Foreshadowing. But detectability by air, 2.7. Guaranteed is always 2. And then the detectability while firing in smoke is actually really good at 2.5. Maybe that's standard for destroyers. I forget, but it seems pretty good. Here's my stats. I've won 67% of the time. In other words, I've won two times and I've lost once. And I can promise you that in the 2 games that I won, I did nothing. So, yeah. Not ideal. Like I said, I've played 3 games in this ship. I don't want to touch this ship again. Yes, it's a fun little torp boat, but more often than not, you're just going to be unhappy with the fact that you can't shoot down a plane. It can just hover over you for the entire game. It doesn't particularly excel at gun battles. It doesn't particularly excel as a torp boat. It's kind of a middle ground. And, you know, where I come from is a maintenance person back in the day. We had a little saying called general purpose has no purpose. That's what this thing is. It doesn't have an identity. You have to give it an identity. And thankfully, this is in a nation with a lot of different commanders that allow you to change up the build based on what you prefer for the moment. Okay? Armor. It's a destroyer. It has none. It is Japanese. It has no armor, so don't even worry about it. Overview. Hidden. Good concealment means the ship can get closer to enemies before being detected, and that is where this thing is actually pretty good. Obviously, you want to have perceptive on so that you can see where the closest enemy ship is, so that you don't get run up on by other destroyers, but the concealment of this thing is fun to get up close and personal with those Screamer torps and stack an entire broadside of torpedoes into somebody, no matter what their angle is to you. It's kind of funny. Superior HE damage. Again, you expect it out of Japanese HE. It hits hard, but again, it's not the best gunboat. It's not the worst gunboat. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. Repeater can be equipped with torpedo reload booster. Minegumo, an Asashio class destroyer. See, I didn't see that coming. Maybe a Hayate is also an Asashio class. But 10 ships in the series were built between 1935 and 1939, following a design created after Japan departed from international treaties aimed at restricting naval armament. In the Pacific War, Minegumo played a role in the invasions of Malaya, the Philippines, and the Dutch East Indies. She also took part in the Battle of the Java Sea, and frequently transported reinforcements as part of the Tokyo Express. She entered service 1938. There were 10 of them in the series. But, I mean, honestly, it's a Japanese destroyer. What more can you say? They're a dime a dozen. They do the thing. What more could you ask for? So with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Sleeping Giants, and we're in the brand new Minegumo. Now, as I've already stated in the opening to this video, that this ship is probably not anything special. Like, it really isn't. It's basically a Hayate. It does the same thing that a Hayate can do. I don't really see the purpose of the ship. But again, if we can bring in 4 Iowa-class battleships, then the other nations can bring in multiples of the same ships too, I guess. Even if they're not particularly, my cup of tea. But anyway, what we're going to showcase is this ship in its element getting to do what it's supposed to do, which is just be a nuisance. And be a home run hitting nuisance. And I do want to... I want to make sure that everybody understands this is a home run hitting nuisance. What do I mean by that? I mean, it is all or nothing. Okay? If you've ever played the British destroyers and tried to use them as torp boats, you know what I'm talking about. Shooting tube by tube on a British destroyer is kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, I could do this, or I could launch the widespreads. This thing, the widespread is so incredibly stupidly wide that you will never use it under any circumstance. So just leave it on tube by tube and do your best to space the torpedoes out as best you can to kind of give yourself a little bit of a spread, okay? Because I'm telling you, watch this. Look how wide the freaking widespread. Remember, this is only a quadruple launcher, okay? This is not a quintuple launcher. This is a quadruple launcher with a widespread that makes even Riley Reid jealous, okay? If you don't get that joke, you're too young. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to push into the middle, but we're not going to do so in such a stupid way, right? We're not going to go straight into the cap. We know that there's probably an enemy destroyer coming in. There are 2 of them in this lobby. Our other destroyer on the right flank decided it wants to come into the middle of the map. Which ends up paying out for us because now we have both of our destroyers in roughly the same position, but not really. And we also have a lot of people that can potentially shoot at an enemy destroyer for going into the middle here. Their team doesn't really have that. The Prince Eugen's over there, sure, but you can see as we see this, look at that widespread. That's so stupid. That widespread is useless. Useless. You've got, if you use the widespread torpedoes, you're going to have freaking gaps between your torpedoes that a freaking Mack truck could sail through. That's a stupid analogy because Mack trucks are actually smaller than ships, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you're going to have such a big gap that you're not hitting anything with those torps. They just slip between them and you just get laughed at. But fortunately, the Velos is about to go down. I try to help him, but of course he just ends up in the perfect spot to avoid most of my shots, so can't really do a whole lot. And unfortunately, Prince Eugen does get a couple of shots in there on our split as well, but our split has given up all of his health for that move right there. I don't like that. I don't like when you trade all of your health at the beginning of the match. Now, I get it, and you can see I am trying to slow these torpedoes down. I'm not launching them right at the white line. I expect this guy to get shot at by my teammates and maybe slow down and try to turn in or something like that. So I launched them behind a little bit, trailing a little bit from behind where the game says that I should, just in case that's exactly what he tries to do. And this is what I'm talking about with home run torpedo strikes. You either are going to look like an absolute genius or you're going to look like a buffoon. There's no in between. And in this case, I look like a genius. Don't get it twisted, all right? Sometimes you are the genius, and sometimes you are the absolute dumbest person you've ever seen launch torpedoes in your life, because you'll launch them and you'll go, why did he change 0.3 of a degree? Because that's all it takes to dodge these torpedoes. Like, again, if you've ever been in a fight with anything that has tube-by-tube launchers, like, just make a small course correction and you just dodge everything under the sun. There used to be, I used to have fun back in the day when I would get into fights with like the lightning and stuff like that, and I'd be in a battleship and I'd just start turning my ship and they would launch their torpedoes in such a way that it just looked like a freight train of torpedoes going by you, and they just miss every single one of them. That's what a all or nothing torp strike looks like, right? Now, smart players will stagger their launches. They'll spread them out. They'll kind of understand what's likely to happen. You can see here, we turned off the AA of this ship because it's useless. And what it will do if you leave it on is it will let the carrier continue to hunt you because they know exactly where you're at, right? So as they see those little freaking pea shooters going out there, somebody standing on the deck with a BB gun, that lets the carrier know exactly where you're at. So I turned them off on this ship so that because I can't shoot anything down anyway, might as well not give them a like guarantee, hey, here I am to come mess with. Now, with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and try to double back across the front of this Prince Eugen and the Navarin. You can see Navarin was thinking about making the same play that the last guy just made, but he thinks better of it. And here, as I know that he's going this way, I tried to drop the torps in the direction that he's going to be going. He's going to try to get back behind the island, and then not only that, but I also have the added bonus of if that Prince Eugen decides to come out, somebody's eating torpedoes, right? Like if he sticks his nose around that corner, he's going to eat a torpedo too, or a whole wall of them. Somebody's getting hurt. But as we launch those torpedoes out there, unfortunately, the Prince Eugen does spot them, which allows the Navarin to dodge them, but we do catch the Prince Eugen right on the snoot with one. And you can see I'm trying to get over here and slip in behind these guys over to Charlie. What am I doing here, folks? I'm trying to give our team a better chance of winning by capturing the bases. I'm not going for damage. I'm not trying to put myself in position to get all the damage in the world. I'm slipping in behind the enemy to capture the base that they've already left, because what are the odds that they come back, right? They just, most of the time, once you go through a cap, you just leave it. So if I can slip in behind these guys, capture this base, there's a good chance that I simply get the base and can get out of there. And so that's my goal at this point. You can see there are several battleships over here, and they're all heading away from me, which is not ideal if you're in a destroyer. You actually want the battleships to be coming towards you, especially if you only have 9 kilometers of range. Normally, you want them to come towards you, or even better, kind of go parallel to you. You want to be able to see that big fat broadside, you know? But unfortunately, as they're kiting away from me, which they don't even know I exist here yet, let's be honest, these battleships are looking down the scope with their gun and they can't see crap that's coming up behind them. And even though I end up getting into the cap, most of these guys probably have no idea that I'm here. That's the fun part. Like, most of the time, people they don't have any awareness of what's going on. Like, I can slip into this cap, capture the base from right behind these guys, and most of these guys probably have no idea I even exist. Right? It's the biggest jump scare in the world. And to prove it, as you can see, I'm trying to like line up the torp strike on the guys coming from the outside. This Iowa right here, though, is kind of just sitting here bow in. And so you can see I do give them a nice little spread. And look at that nice little spread. So if you launch, you'll get used to it after a while. How you can launch these to kind of get a little bit of a spread to try to like move without making it super sloppy. But yeah, that was one of those torp strikes where I get to spread the torps out a little bit and show you guys that you can make a torp spread out of these, even if it isn't all straight down. You know, you don't have to launch everything straight down the pipe. But as you can see, that poor Iowa over there had no idea I even existed. He eats 2 torps from the backside. And I want you guys to pay attention to something in particular. Okay? As I'm coming around from behind these guys, I'm capturing the bases, I'm doing my job. But I want you guys to watch as I go from being not located to being located. And I'm pretty sure I get located anyway. Maybe I don't. Yeah, there it is, right there. See it? See it pop up? Little thing says, boop, located. What does that mean to anybody else? It means I am the closest ship to the enemy destroyer, who just happens to be French and coming back. Hi, Le Fantasque. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, this is bad. This is real bad. As you can see, he gets 25,000 hit points or 20,000 hit points or something like that. So he's got the advantage in that. He also has, I think, a reload booster in the Le Fantasque. Maybe I'm wrong. But you can see I'm not winning the gunfight. So I drop smoke, I try to get out of there to try to prolong my existence, to continue being a problem and live. And if I can turn away from this guy and disengage, I can use my speed boost that's coming back shortly to put some distance between me and him and hopefully outrun him. That was the plan. But you're also going to notice that the enemy battleship is coming back too, and that is the Rodney on the enemy team. He's coming back as well, and he's part of the Ready 5 clan. And I know the Ready 5 guys, or at least I've run into them several times. They've all been pretty solid players, whether it be World of Tanks or World of Warships. I've run into them in both. I remember the Ready 5 folks from all the way back in the day. There's a few of them that we run into each other occasionally, and we're like, hey, GG's, dude. Still glad to see you still out there. We still exist. Imagine that, out of all the thousands of players in World of Tanks and World of Warships, you run into the same few people from the same clans, no matter what game you play. But you can see I go ahead and I use my my torps reload here, and I drop these torps straight down the pipe. Again, this is a situation where most battleships feel pretty confident they'll be okay. He makes the right call, though. He turns back out a little bit. I went for the home run and darn near got it again. You can see if I hit one more torp, that man's going to the shadow row. But again, you get that situation where you leave him with just enough to get away. But unfortunately, that is the end of our game. Now, I will give a little special shout out to the carrier player on the team. I do kind of get in here and I'm like, I'm looking at the map and seeing what's going on. Our team has grabbed this cap. Our split's all the way out on the edge. The Lepanto has done some good things here with helping get caps and whatnot and got a couple of kills. And he's doubling back to try to put himself in position to help with the Iowa that's coming. But this Enterprise, you've got to understand, when I show up and I look at somebody, and the first thing I notice is that, like, he's just sitting there right in front of a guy at 10 kilometers in a carrier, I'm just like, well, textbook carrier player, just sitting there, just waiting to die. Could have gotten away from him, had plenty of time. Well, it turns out he was AFK because he had disconnected. Okay, so shout out to him. He does actually get into the chat, and we have a little bit of a back and forth, but I explained to him, I was like, dude, like, you can't get mad at me because you disconnect because I say that, hey, you're just sitting there waiting to die, right? And he agreed. We ended up having no problem after, like, the first couple of words that we said to one another, but it was just one of those situations. It's like, I call things as I say it. I don't mean anything personal by anything. I just say, look, when I go down after doing 140,000 damage and capturing 2 bases and trying to do my best to carry the team to a victory, when I go down and then I start looking around and I see, like, people just sitting there waiting to die, and, you know, this guy hasn't really done a whole lot in the split since he killed the first destroyer. He's kind of just sailed around. I don't know if he's gotten a whole lot of damage or not, but it's one of those situations where you just kind of like, you're gonna say stuff, right? Like, it's normal. But yeah. He gets in, he explains his position. I say, dude, sucks, happens. We've all been there. Every one of us is disconnected at one point or another. It happens. Does it suck? Especially if you're one of the people on the team that have been carrying your butt off trying to help the team win? Absolutely. But it's also an understandable situation that can't be really dealt with, unfortunately. And update weeks are always the worst for disconnections. There's always server problems every single update. I don't know why, but it's just, it is what it is, right? But either way, this was a good example of the ship, I think. I think a lot of people are probably going to play it more as a torp boat, sneaky torp boat like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people will be running this as a gunboat. I don't think it's particularly amazing as a gunboat either. But in closing, let's talk about the two ships for the campaign. Which one I would get, which one I wouldn't get, whatever. If you're going to get anything that's for consistency's sake, the Minegumo is probably the one that you want to go for. It is just a copy-paste of pretty much every Japanese destroyer under the sun. It is what it is, right? Like, you know what you're getting. You're getting a sneaky, hard-hitting torp boat that also has the ability to use the guns. It's not particularly amazing at either. And then, of course, you have the other side of it. You have the battleship. If the battleship at some point down the road gets a commander that actually buffs the things that you like about the ship, I could see the ship being good. So I wouldn't say don't get the ship, but the likelihood that happens is probably slim, because I don't think we're supposed to get that many pan-European battleships at any point during the future. So I don't think that that's going to happen. Do I think that ship's particularly amazing? No. I already gave you guys my thoughts on that ship. So, personally, Minegumo for consistency, and the Nord or Njord for memes. Right? That's what it is. It's a 20 torp battleship that can be kind of funny at times. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I am not going to tell you how to, what you should do in terms of spending your free ship. It is free at the end of the day. You get to, as long as you get your Admiralty backing, you get it for free, and then you can grind out the campaign just like everybody else, and you get it for free. So in that sense, I think that you're not really going to be disappointed either way, no matter what you end up getting. But yeah, honestly, I like the idea of a free campaign. So, is it a shame that it's not particularly an amazing couple of ships? It's free, man. It's free. What can you complain about at the end of the day? It's a free tier 8. But we did our best. Again, we tried. We tried to win. 139,000 damage, top of the leaderboard, 1,900 base XP and a loss. And yeah, unfortunately, the enemy team was just better. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.